Okay. So yes, so these were the three types of logical operators: double ampersand, then you had logical or, then you had logical not. So, and they also result in true or false. So we saw what is their structure. Their structure is like, on both the side of those logical operators you have conditions, and we know that logical operators result in true if both the statements on the either side of logical operators are true. Okay. So, and similarly logical AND operator, logical OR operator results in true. Okay. Logical OR operator results in true if either one of the, at least one of the operators on either side of the logical OR is true. Okay. So, and logical NOT was like whatever is the condition and whatever is the result of the condition, okay, it simply reverses it. So if you provided a condition which results in true, then it will give false. Okay, and if you provided a condition which results in false, then it will give true. So such things we had seen. Okay, and we had also taken some examples to understand these concepts. Hopefully you have gone through it. And then after that we had seen some examples of programming. Okay, let me open those. Just a minute. Yeah. So these were the examples of logical operators, and we saw that these resulted in false, false, true, true, and then using logical operators we solved some questions like greatest of the three numbers. Okay, so it's like we take three numbers in three different variables and then we form our conditions. Okay, that means if num1 is greater than num2 and num1 is also greater than num3, then it is evident that the biggest number is num1. Similarly, we saw second condition, if this happens to be false, okay, then the answer won't go in, this program won't go inside if block, rather it will come to next one, waterfall model. Okay, waterfall model, it starts from top. If it does not match, it checks the next condition, and in this case if num2 is greater than num1 and num2 is also greater than num3, then biggest will of course be num2, else if neither num1 nor num2 is the biggest, then of course the final case will hit, that is the biggest is num3, right? And why did we use if, and else model? We use this model because you can say we had more than two cases to handle, therefore we used this. If there are only two cases to handle, we use if else. If only one case to handle out of many possible cases, then we use only one single if. Okay, now we improved upon this program by reducing one condition check in second else if here. Why? Because we can see here that if num1 if the program execution comes here in this else if, that means this if statement condition was not true. Okay, if the condition was not true, then only your program execution came here. Okay, so in that case, if it came here, then definitely num1 was not the biggest. Therefore, we don't need to check num2 with num1. We only need to check num2 with num3, because if num1 is not the biggest and there are three numbers num1, num2 and num3, then it is quite evident that either num2 or num3 will be the biggest. Okay, because it has failed the check for num1 being the biggest. Therefore, the only possibility will be num2 will be greater than num3. So writing this is just like not necessary. So next program we improved upon this and we did not write that, and without that our program worked. But now let's say, so I think this was the last program that we dealt last day. So now let me know first if whatever we have covered so far, is it clear to all, or in case there is some doubt, I'll just clear it up first and then we'll proceed. Think for 10 seconds and then reply. In case of doubt, please let me know. Okay. Jay, Shadya, others may also please let me know. Ishan, Ashmita, Maruti, Pranali, and others. Okay, Adesh, Pradipta. Fine. Seems that all of you have gone through it and it's clear to all the concept. Okay. Fine. Now we'll proceed forward and we will see one certain limitation of this program, the one that we just saw. Okay. For our case, what if we needed the which one is the biggest number? We needed this value, that number, somewhere later in the program. Which one was the biggest? Now, because we are simply printing the biggest number when we are getting it, either this or this or this. See, one thing about if else I'll tell you, it is not that all the three cases will run, only the matching cases will run. So either of the three, this one or this one or this one will be executed depending on whether this matches or this matches or this matches. Okay, or it goes there. So either one of them will be matched. So only one will come out to be the biggest, right? Let's say later on, after this and later on after some lines, we need the number which was the biggest, but we have not saved anywhere which number was the biggest. So in that case, we'll again have to find which one is the biggest number. So that is the problem here. If you need to use the biggest variable and its value later in the program, what we need to do? Okay, for that we will see the next program. Okay, if before we see the next program, can anyone think of some better way of handling this case so that we might be able to use the biggest number somewhere later down in the program? Just have a look and can you suggest some way so that we can use the program this biggest number value later? Take 10 seconds and let me know. Any idea? Anyone? You can just try, no worries. Use another variable. Adya says yes, that seems to be a good logical solution. Yeah, precisely, we'll be doing that. What we can do is we can use another variable to save which one is the biggest instead of printing. That means, let's say what I will do is I'll not print, rather I'll take will declare another variable at the beginning, let's say big, and instead of printing, okay, instead of printing I'll write big equals to num1. Here also I'll write big equals to num2. And here I'll write biggest is equals to big, and I'll copy paste num3, and these two lines are not necessary. See, what I have done is, the moment I am getting any number as biggest, what I am doing is I am saving that number in the variable declared above. Okay, so I am initializing the variable big, that is I am giving the first value of big by the number which happens to be the biggest. So depending on the condition, whether this holds true, or none of the above cases matches, in which case it will go here. So depending on the condition, big will get one value accordingly. See, it may appear that big is getting, we have written 3 times, but no, big will get only one value depending on whether this condition matches or this condition matches or none of the above condition matches, in which case it will go here. So big will get either big 1 or big 2, or big will get either num1, num2 or num3. So big will capture the biggest number of the 3, whichever happens to be, and then after finalizing that, later on I'll print big, in which case here by the time the program comes here at line number 29, here big will be containing the biggest of the 3, because we have already matched and we have already accordingly set big. Okay, so instead we will directly print big here, and even the later on if you write some more lines and some more lines, and further down if you need the value of biggest number, that can easily be used. Okay, so that will help us a lot in case we need to capture the result based on checking some condition and then reusing it later in the program. So just have a look for the at this program, what we have achieved here using big. Okay, that is to reuse the value of the biggest number somewhere out of this if statement, this entire thing. Okay, and later on in the program further. So just have a look at it for 15 seconds and think of it. In case of doubt, you may let me know, else we'll proceed. Okay, Maruti, Shreya, Adya, you all seem to be clear. What about others? Just have another look in case you need to review it. Okay, Pranali and Ishan and others. Okay, good. So seems you all are comfortable with whatever we have covered so far. Excellent. Okay. Fine. Now let us move to the next program. Okay. So that same thing I did in this one. So I'll simply just here I'll reverse back. Okay, so the next program was same. Okay, fine. Now let's come to program number 30. This program 29 was the same thing. I made the change in the previous program only. However, I have written another separately. I'll share this. Okay, which one happens to be the biggest. Now coming to one very simple program. Okay, for checking if the number is odd or even. That's very simple program. You might have done it. So what do we do in this case? Odd or even? How do you check? So which of the following constructs will be used for checking whether a number is odd or even? If if else, or if else, if else. See, we have to check, we have to take one number as input, and that number we have to check whether it is odd or even. So depending on how many cases you might get, okay, you might have to handle, just let me know which of the three, either this, I'll number it 1, 2 or 3, which should be used here. If else, no Adesh, we only have, see here, we only have two cases, and we discussed that when there are only two cases to handle, we go with if else. If there is only one case to handle out of many possible outcomes, we use if, and if there are more than two cases to handle, in that case we go with if else. So here either the number can be odd or the number can be even. So we'll go with if else. Okay. So I hope it is clear to you. Okay, fine. It's good that you are speaking out and clearing your doubts. Okay, fine. It seems others are also clear. So we'll just build on it. A very easy program. Okay. So now what can be done? So we'll take one number as input from the user. So we'll write int. Let's say, always try to take the names relevant to your input. Okay, so I am taking one number, so I'll write num. You can also use double and float. No, not in this case, because number can be either odd or even. So we don't need to take double or float. That is the numbers with decimal point. You will be taking int only, and then you will write num is equals to sc dot. Considering you have imported scanner and scanner sc is equals to new scanner, those lines you have written above. You will write next int. Okay, you'll of course give a here SOPLN. Please enter a number so that the screen is not blank and blinking, and person executing the program may get confused what you have to do. Okay, so before every taking outside input, okay, so you should always make a habit of leaving a message. Then once you have got the number, you will check. How will you check a number is odd or even? If a number is completely divisible by 2, completely divisible by 2, it will be even, else it will be odd. So how do you check whether a number is completely divisible by another? Of course, we know of modulus operator, okay, which checks for the remainder. So if you divide any number by 2 and if you get the remainder as 0, okay, we can say that that number will be even. If this is not the case, then that number will be odd. Okay, so what we will do in the if condition, we'll write if number when divided by 2, this will give you the remainder, this entire thing. So if that remainder happens to be 0, how do you compare any result of any expression with any value? For comparing equality, we use double equal to and not single equal to, because single equal to is used for assigning the value to a variable or a memory location of the RAM, right? But here you have to check for what? Here you have to check for equality, compare for equality. In that case, we will be using double equal to, which is nothing but a relational operator. Hope you all remember. So when this side, whatever is the result, okay, matches this value, So when upon dividing, if the remainder left is equal to 0, here if the remainder is coming 0, in that case both the side will become equal, and then if will result in true. If that is not the case, then it will go into false. So we'll write if num mod 2 is double equals to 0, then you can write system.out.println. I'll write in short, you should not write in short. Even, okay, else, hope you all remember the concept of block. Whatever comes within curly braces is the block of that thing. Okay, else will print it is odd. Okay, so we'll see the program for the same. So what we are going to do is we are going to create one variable num. We are going to ask for user input in that num by asking him for one integer value. When the user provides one integer value, that integer value will be assigned to num because of equality operator. That num variable, a variable identified by or variable labeled as num in the memory location will get the value assigned by user or provided by user due to this assignment operator. Once num has that value from the user, you will check for the num whether the that number when divided by 2, if the remainder matches 0, okay, because this double equal to will compare the result of this with 0. If both are 0, both the sides of sides of double equal to happens to be 0, then of course that means the number is even. If that is not the case, the number is odd. You can see we have used if and else type of mechanism or the structure because we had only two cases, right? Is this program clear? We can execute it and we can see also there is no problem in that. Java C code that will be 30, no error. Let us see. Code 30, enter one value. Let's say I'll give 45, which is odd. Another time I'll run, I'll give 78. Of course it is even, correct? So just have a look for, let's say, another 5-10 seconds and let me know in case it is this very small concept and very easy concept how to check whether a number is odd or even is clear to all. Okay, let me know. Fine. So Pradipta, Maruti, Madhya and others, yes, Inosh, good, Ashmita, fine. So we'll now move forward. From that point onwards, we'll start with something new today, and that is we'll see one thing known as ternary operator. But before we go into ternary operator, okay, this is another version of if else. It is similar to if else, we'll see shortly. Let us understand the different types of operators in Java. Okay, then we are going to see what are ternary operators and what does this ternary mean. Okay. So just a minute. So I'll first explain the meaning or different types of operators, and then we will see what are ternary operators. Very easy concept. If you have understood if else, you will just cakewalk it. Okay. So we'll see types of operators. The first type of operator that we have is unary operator, UNARY. What are these? They work on these operator, that is these operators work on only one operand. Okay, what are these exactly? We will see maybe in next after 1 or 2 classes. We will learn about them in coming week, not today. Okay, second one is binary operator. Okay, work on, bi means 2. Okay, so I'll just mention here, bi means 2 and means 1. Okay, work on 2 operators or 2 operands. The example will be arithmetic, operators. Then you have we have learnt about 2 more other types of operators, that is relational operators and logical operators. There are many others, we'll be learning slowly and slowly, etc. Okay, so they are binary. Example, if you write 2 is greater than 3. Okay, this is an example of relational operators. It checks the relation between, establishes the relation between 2 operands. We can write either this, or we can write 2 is equal to 2. This is one example, this is another example. Okay, so here we see both the sides. We are having 1 and 2. This is operand, this is second operand, and this is of course operator. This is first operand and this is again second operand. Okay, fine. So like I said, binary operators work on 2 operands. So here we have seen on all the relational operators, on either side of the relational operators there will be 1 operand. So we can see relational operator separates 2 operands every time. Even the logical operators, double ampersand. Okay, one condition here, one condition here. So this result of the condition, okay, let's say condition 1, condition 2. So result of this condition will give you one single true or false, and this will also give you one single true or false here, or one single true or false here. So they are also Boolean type values. So these true or false are also nothing but your operands. So these also separate 2 operands. Even the arithmetic operators, you can say, you write 3 into 4, 3 multiplied by 4. Here also you can see multiplication sign separates first operand and second operand. You write 5 plus 10. This addition sign here will separate operand 1 and operand 2. So we see these arithmetic operators or mathematical operators, relational operators, logical operators, they are doing what? They are separating, all of these are separating or working with 2 operands each. Therefore, they are known as binary operators. Like we have seen, we are not going to discuss unary operator which works on only 1 operand. As of now, we'll see in the next few classes. Binary we have seen. Okay, now tell me, is the concept of binary operator, and of course we have not seen this, which works on 1 operand. Is this concept of binary operator that works on 2 operands? What does this binary operator mean? Is it clear to all? Okay, Jayesh, Adya, Asmita, Pradipta, okay, Pranali. Good. So, and others also. So, it seems you have understood this. Now, we are going to see the third type of operator that we have in Java. Okay, the third type of operator that we have is known as ternary operator. Okay. Now, what is ternary operator? We have already seen means 1, by means 2, ter will be for 3. Okay, so this means this will work on 3 operands, okay, at one single time. So works on 3 operands. This operator works on 3 operands, and in Java we have got only one ternary operator. Only one ternary just a minute. Okay. Ternary operator is there. Okay, fine. So, what are those? See, if you count those operators, they are 2 in number. In one single time, we will be using them both, but they together are counted as one single operator. What are those ternary operators? Those are question mark colon. Here we will write something. Here will be there something, and here will be there something. So these together, these pair of operators which are considered 1, okay, will be separating 3 operands. Here you will be having operand 1. Here this will be your operand 2, and this place you are going to have operand 3. Okay, so now how does that work? Okay, fine. So now we will see the concept a bit. So Java ternary operator, just follow me. We are of course going to dive deep into it, but let us build the fundamentals and premises first. Okay, So Java ternary operator is the only conditional operator that takes, just a minute. So Java ternary operator okay. So Java ternary operator is the only conditional operator. See, this is ternary operator are also known as conditional operator because it is sort of a replacement for if else structure. Okay. So operator that takes three operands. Okay, it's one liner replacement for if else statement. So if else statement, if you are going to write, you will be writing it in let's say more than one line. Okay, 3-4 lines will be there, but this effectively solves your problem in one single line. We will see how. Okay, so it's one liner replacement for if else statement. Okay, it's if else statement and uses a lot of Java programming and is used in a lot of Java programming. We can use a ternary operator in place of if else conditions or even switch. Switch we have not seen, next topic it will be switch, or even switch conditions using nested ternary operators. What is nested thing we will go into it shortly, see shortly, don't worry about this nested thing, we'll learn. Okay, and nested ternary operators, although it follows the same algorithm as of if else statement, the conditional operators take less space and helps us write if else statements in the shortest possible way. So what we are going to see is when if we will after this class, when we will be comfortable with ternary operators, so wherever possible, okay, instead of if else statement you go for ternary operators, because you will write it in a very less number of lines rather in one single line, and that also consumes less space in the memory of the computer, and it is executed very fast. So from this day onwards, wherever possible, in place of if else statement, you can always use ternary operators. We will see how we can do it. So this is the structure of ternary operator. Like we write a is equals to 2. In this case, we will be writing variable is equals to expression 1 question mark expression 2 colon expression 3. That means we'll come to right side of the equal to first. If this expression happens to be true, then go and do this thing after question mark. Else, if this statement happens to be false, this expression happens to be false, then go and perform what is defined by expression 3 and accordingly set the value of this variable. That is, if expression 1 is true, then it will go and execute this expression 2, arrive at a value, and it will go and store that value in variable. If expression 1 is false, it will go and evaluate expression 3, will arrive at a value, and then that value will be will be there, and that value will be set in variable on the left side of the equal to. So this is the general syntax or the correct way of writing in programming, that is in Java. Variable is equals to this. The layout is this. So let's say if you have this form of a structure for checking a case, if expression which will be checking one condition, then you are assigning variable with value expression 2 or variable with value expression 3. So this same thing can be written as this one single liner. Okay, if you have understood so far, well and good. If you have not understood anything, that's even better, because we are just going to look exactly what does that mean. I'll take one example. Let's say you have to write a program to find or print the bigger uh, bigger of the two numbers. Okay, so what we can do is we will take first number. If we are going to now, because the bigger of the two numbers, okay, so only two, either the first number will be bigger or the second number will be bigger. So how many cases are there? Let's say we have two numbers, num1 and num2. So when you evaluate this, it will come something like, either if you are checking the bigger, either num1 will be bigger or num2 will be bigger. So because there is two possibility, either num1 or num2 will be bigger in the outcome, so we will be using what is known as if else. Okay, so let us write the if else program for this. I'll create two variables, num1 comma num2. Okay, we'll ask for value from user in num1 and num2 considering the required scanner lines you have written above. Okay, sc.nextInt, and then you have, similarly you will accept the value from the user num2. When you have got the values, what you will do, you will check for condition. If num1, and we are going to store the result in the variable big so that we can later use it. Okay, so we'll take a third variable also big. Num1 is greater than num2, then you will write big equals to num1, else only second possibility is left is big equals to num2. Okay, fine. So this is your program, and later you can print sopln system.out.println big, so that will print the biggest of the two. Is this very small program in if else version of comparing and finding the two numbers, bigger of the two numbers, is this program clear to all? Just have a look for 5 seconds and then reply. Okay, that was a pretty simple program for taking two numbers and comparing which one was the bigger one. So I can see Maruti, Pranali, Shreya, Adya and Inosh. Hopefully it is clear to all others also. Narsimha, good. Pradipta, Jayesh, excellent. And Hashmita, fine. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to write the same version of the program. Like we have seen, it is possible to convert every if else, most of the if else programs, okay, using ternary operator in one single line. We'll try to write the entire this part. Our aim is, what we are going to do next is, we will try to convert the entire this portion, okay, entire this portion using ternary operator in one single line. So the same thing, how we are going to do is, just follow. Okay, what we will do is, same program I am writing again using ternary operator. We will take first number, so we will create one variable, another variable for storing second number, and then big for storing whichever is the bigger of the two. Then from the user we are going to ask one value, and using assignment operator we are going to assign it in the variable identified by the name num1 in the RAM. So we'll write sc dot next int, then you can take num2 is equals to sc dot next int. You have taken two integer values. You can take double values also or floating values also if you need numbers with decimal points. Absolutely, that will be better. In fact, more generic programming, because this program is restricting you for comparing two integer numbers only. So if you take here float or double, that will make your program generic. That means all kinds of numbers can be compared. So I'll rather suggest, I'll be sharing the assignment soon, the second assignment, and of course we'll be returning back your first assignment after correcting in next 1 or 2 days, and meanwhile I'll share the second assignment also. Okay, that will be containing this. So in that case, if there is a question for that, try to use make this program generic by using all the types of numbers using double or float type. Okay, so now this entire part I'll replace with ternary operator. For that, what I will do is I will follow this structure. So which variable is capturing my bigger number, that is big. So I'll go by this structure only. This variable will be that I have which will be storing the bigger number is this variable. So I'll write big is equals to expression 1. So what is expression 1? Whatever is the condition in if, that becomes expression 1. Wherever we are storing the value, that is big, that becomes variable. Whatever is the expression that is to be solved after or expression or the value that is to be stored, that comes after question mark. Whatever is the else part of the expression, that comes after colon. So we will follow the same structure and we'll write. So we'll write variable in our case where we have to store the result is big. So we'll write big is equals to, what is the expression? This num1. So we'll say if num1 is greater than num2, okay, then if this is correct, then assign to big what? Num1. Else assign to big, that means if this is false, okay, then it will come in the after colon part. Then assign to big num2. That is done. So you can see this. If this condition happens to be true, then after question mark whatever you have written will be executed, value will be computed, and that final value will be assigned to the variable. If this expression results in false, then it will go after the colon. That expression or the value will be evaluated and will be stored in variable. The same thing is happening here. If this condition happens to be true, then this value is evaluated, but because this is a single value, needs no evaluation, this will directly go and will be assigned in big. However, if this happens to be false, that is num2 happens to be greater than num1, in this case this expression after colon will be evaluated, but because again this is one single value, without evaluation it will be going directly and will be assigned in big. So you can just see this structure once more, okay, and then see this program, the if version. Okay, I'll write here, I'll mark in a better way. This is expression 1. This is, you can say expression 2, or you can say expression 2, no problem. This is expression 3. This is your variable here the same thing is this thing is your expression 1, this thing is your variable, this thing is your expression 2, this thing is your variable, and this thing is your expression 3. And we know the structure that this is variable is equals to, if expression 1 condition check results true, then do whatever is there in expression 2, that value after evaluating go and store in variable. If the expression 1 is false, then go to expression 3, evaluate the value, okay, and come here and store the value in variable. So question mark means, question mark corresponds to this block, okay. So I'll take another color for this. So this question mark means the block of, or the curly, whatever is enclosed within curly braces of if, and whatever is enclosed after colon is the block of else, starting from here, okay, till this closing braces, okay. So if this is expression is true, then it will go to this part after question mark, which is nothing but this portion of if else, and if it is false, it will go to this portion, okay. So just have a look, okay, for let's say another 20 seconds, analyze it mentally. If it settles down well, let me know. Okay, you can respond now. Okay, most of you seem to be having the good feeling of it. Okay, so now yes, you can respond. Maruti, Jayesh and Adya, you have understood the concept. What about others? Others may also let me know so that I can proceed. Shweta says yes. Sorry, Shreya, Narsimha, Shweta and Ashmita, Ishan. Okay, Pranali. Fine. So it seems that you have got the concept. Let us see the execution of this program, and then I'll give you, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes break, and then we'll come back again. Okay. Fine. So this is a Java program to find a larger among the two variables. Okay, so let's say you have taken one value. Let's make it generic. Okay, how we'll make it generic program, because this will always be working on two values, two sets of values. I'll write import java.util.scanner. scanner, x is equals to new scanner. Because we have taken x, everywhere where we are going to accept the input will be using x only. Scan system dot in, good. Will not do this. Max is for the bigger number. We'll write this step will become variable initialization. Variable initialization. This will be n1 is equals to, because we have used x here, so we'll be using x here also. X dot next int, and num2 we are going to ask from the user, and we are going to write x dot same thing. I'll just copy paste it. Okay, so that the user is not confused what they have been asked for, I'll be giving one message also. Let's say please enter the first number. Okay, like I have said, I have used int, but in your assignment you will make the program more generic by taking double or float. Second number, and then your first number is n1, it will print like that, and then it will check for the larger number. So it will check the condition. If n1 is greater than n2, then whatever is there after question mark will be evaluated. If it is false, then whatever is there after colon, that will be evaluated, and accordingly with either n1 or n2 will be set to max. Okay. Okay, so accordingly n1 or n2 will be set to max. Okay, so the same thing, the same concept that we have done, accordingly it will be set to big, either n1 or n2, and then in the next line we will be printing what is known as what is stored in the variable max or the big. So let us save this program. Let us try to execute it. Okay. Please enter the first number. I'll enter, let's say 23. Enter the second number. I'll enter 76. 76 is maximum among the two. Okay. Let's say I give 999. Here I give 34 is maximum. Okay, so I'll split the screen so that you can analyze the program in a better way. Just have a look. If that makes sense, let me know. Okay, so is this thing clear? Okay, Jayesh says yes, Shreya, Adya, Shrestha. Yes, others also may let me know. Ashmita has got it, good. Rally and others. Seems you have understood. Shweta also. So what we are going to do is we'll have a short break for, let's say, 5 minutes. We'll meet after 5 minutes and then we'll continue for another 15-20 minutes and we'll stop for the day. Okay. Fine. I'll just pause the recording here. Recording. Yes. So we were discussing about ternary operators. We saw the concept. We also saw one program, okay, in the ternary operators, and now we'll see one more program. Okay, what does this program do? So finding if the first, we'll be accepting two numbers again. Let me make it that generic thing again. So here we'll finding the sum if the first number is greater than second, and we'll find the difference. That means the objective of the program is, just a minute, okay, the objective of the program is, let's say you have two numbers, okay, let's say you have two numbers, num1 and num2. Okay, let's say num1 is, or we'll take it later. So what we'll do is, if num1 is greater than num2, in that case we will find our result will be, we'll be creating three variables, let's say int and result. We'll accept the values of num1 and num2 from the user, and then if num1 happens to be greater than num2, in that case our result will be the sum of the two numbers. Else our result will be difference of the two numbers. Okay, so hope the program is clear. So in case num1 is greater than num2, then what we are going to store as in the result variable, the sum of the two numbers. If num1 is smaller than num2, which will be the other case, okay, in that case we'll find the difference of the two numbers. Its equivalent version in ternary operators will be in num1 num2 result, okay, then you will write num1 is equals to sc dot next int from user, num2 you will ask again from the user and will assign to the variable identified by num2 in RAM. You will again take user input here. You will then check if num1 is greater than, no, not if, we are writing the ternary version. So in that case the result is the variable where we need to capture the output. So we will write result is equals to, this condition will be expression 1. So if num1 is greater than num2, okay, if that happens to be true, this condition happens to be true, then we know that this thing forms the question mark part. Then if this is true, then go and evaluate num1 plus num2. Else if it is false, then this thing should be stored in result. Else num1 minus num2, the result of this should be stored in RES. Okay, and then you can print it later. So the concept that this program on the right side is the equivalent version of, or the another way of writing this if else part, if else program. Analyze this. If this concept is clear, let me know. We'll see the program execution of this. Take some 10 seconds. Okay. So, sir, can int store negative value? Why not? Is -1 not an integer? Is let's say -100 is not an integer? All the integer values that are there on the number line can be stored. Okay. So, yes, int can store all the both negative and positive integers. Okay, fine. So now we'll see the program execution for this. This is 32. Okay. Just a minute. I am receiving one call. Okay, sorry for the interruption. We'll start. Okay, so we'll see the execution of this program. So we have done the same thing here. We have taken two numbers and then we are printing the two numbers in N1 and N2, and then we are doing it this way. If N1 is greater than N2, then result will contain, if this happens to be true, then whatever is there after question mark, that will be evaluated. One single value will be obtained and that single value will be going inside result. If that happens to be false, then whatever is there after colon, that will be evaluated, and then that single value will go and reside inside the variable identified by result. Now we'll see the same thing happening. That code was 32. Okay. We missed out somewhere something. Let me check out. 4 errors, it says. Okay. Just give me a minute, let me look. So it says cannot find symbol scanner, of course. Why we got the error? Because we are taking user input, we are using a scanner, but we forgot to import scanner. See how intelligently it pointed out. Symbol class scanner not found. It is just marking here. Everywhere, wherever you are getting a scanner, it is saying symbol not found. So because we have not imported it in this file. Okay, let's see if that works now. Again we are missing out something. Now it says, okay, res is not defined. Here I have taken max and here I have taken res. Okay, so it said, it told me cannot find the symbol res, not defined. Okay, so I have given their res. Now I think there shouldn't be error. See, it worked out. So you can also look at the errors and find out what is going wrong. Generally it will point out using this wherever it is having problem to understand. Using this, you can say caret symbol. Okay. Code 32. Now please enter the first number. Like Ishan asked, what I'll do is I'll give the first number as -7, negative integer. Please enter the second number. This also I'll give -55. So what should be the case? Okay, the first integer num1 is greater than num2, because this -7 will be going to n1 and this will be going to n2. We have seen n1 is greater than n2, right? So that should go to the sum. So -7 plus minus, that's a mathematical question, simple mathematics, plus -55 will give you what? Any idea? Let us see. It added, right? -62. Again, if you give first number as the same thing, same value, if I give -55, no, let's take different example. Let's say first number I'll give as 10 and second number as 20. Okay, so here n1 is not greater than n2. In that case, here n1 is not, this n1 is greater than n2 condition check will result in false. So it will go after colon and this expression will be evaluated and the result of this will be saved in the variable identified by res, and this res is going to be printed. So n1 minus n2 will be printed. What is n1 minus n2? 10 minus 20, that will give you -10. Is the program clear? You can take it for positive values also. Okay, whatever you want. 20 and 10. So n1 is greater than n2. So here sum will be performed. Okay, that is the first case matched here. Why? Because n1 happened to be greater than n2 and therefore this matched and this got assigned in res, which was 30 and 30 was displayed. Okay, so is this program execution and about this, is it clear to all? Okay, Srishta, Adya, Maruti and Jayesh and others. Okay, Shreya, good. So you seem to be very comfortable with this now. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to see one more program and then we are going to call it a day. Okay, fine. One last program is, it's a simple program. Now we have completed ternary operator thing. Okay, so now we'll go for one practice program for using, my question is using if else only we will do. Now we have covered binary. So my next question is like that. I'll just show you. You have to print, question is print the grade obtained by student on the basis of his or her percentage. His or her percentage in 3 subjects. Okay, in 3 subjects. Let's say First subject is three subjects, take any three: English, maths and science. Assume that maximum marks that can be obtained in each of the papers is 70 marks, the total marks weightage of the paper. So based on that, I'll draw two columns. On the basis of this, you have to print percentage and grade. Okay. So what we will do is, if percentage is greater than 80, greater than equal to if percentage is greater than equal to 80, then you will print the student scored grade A. If it is percentage is less than 80, because 80 is contained here also, so we'll take less than 80, but greater than greater than equal to 60. Okay, in that case, between 60 to less than 80, you will print grade B. Okay, 40 to less than 60, you will print grade C. Below 40 is less than 40, in that case you will print grade D. Okay, so this is our aim. So what we will do, we'll take int marks in three subjects, that is English, maths and science. Okay, we'll also take one variable to calculate percentage. We'll do English is equals to, you will obtain the marks from the user. Similarly for maths, you will obtain marks from the user, and these marks will be out of 70. Okay, for science, you will obtain marks from the user. Okay, then you will find the percentage. Percentage will be marks obtained, total marks obtained. What is the total marks obtained? English plus maths plus science divided by total marks possible. So what is the total marks possible? 70 into 3, that is 210 is the maximum marks that you can get. Okay, the whole result multiplied by 100 will give you the percentage. Okay, is it clear till this point? Just have a look for 5 seconds and let me know. Yes. Okay. So, Ishan, Shrestha, others may also please tell. Shweta, okay. So percentage finding is clear. But tell me that you should have pointed out this is not correct. It is the same question that we had in the exam where the result was 0. Why? We have defined English, maths, science, etc. these as integers. Integer by integer. So marks will always be this thing. You should be very careful. This thing for 99% of the times, because hardly anyone will be getting full marks. So most of the time this thing, because above also will be sum of integers will be integer and below is also integer. So the result of this evaluation will always result in integer. and because marks obtained by total marks will always be less than 1. It can be only 1 when full marks is obtained by any student, which is rare. So in most of the cases it will give something 0 point something, and because highest data type rule will apply for this particular term, so this will result in 0. So most of the time your percentage will be 0, right? So what is the best, safest way to handle this? You got the concept here. What will go wrong here? Because the highest data type involved is integers, so integer will be there, and the 0 point whatever will be there, that will be ignored and 0 will be retained. Is this thing clear? What is the problem with this question? Okay, fine. So if anybody is having doubt, they should stop me right here. Okay, fine. Now what you will do for obtaining the percentage? It's better to assign it, not this is fine. You take here double, or float. Here you will write int sc dot next float or next double, whatever you have taken. So numerator will be English, maths and science, all are double values. So double by integer, highest data type is double. So this expression will now result in the proper whatever is 0 point whatever is there multiplied by 100. So double value multiplied by 100 will again give you double, which will be stored in a double variable. Now the correct percentage will come. Further on, what you can do is you can write if percentage is greater than equal to 80 and percentage is, no, only this case. If your percentage is greater than equal to 80, then you will print grade A for the student. Else if, because there are more than 2 percentages grades possible, so we'll use else if. Else if we'll write percentage is greater than equals to 60 and percentage is less than 80, because 80 is equal to is included here, so we'll keep less than. In that case you will use print grade B. Else if percentage is greater than equal to 40 and at the same time percentage is also less than 60, then you will write SOPLN print the person obtained grade C. For all other cases below 40 the grade will be D. So last case is automatically else, we don't need to write condition, grade D. Okay, so if this case is true, it will go here and other cases will be ignored, other comparisons. If this is false, that means percentage for sure is not greater than 80. Then it will check whether it is greater than 60 and less than 80. If that is correct, it will print B. If both the cases are incorrect, that means percentage is not greater than equal to 60. Okay, if both the cases are false, then of course percentage we will check is it greater than equal to 40 and less than 60. If matches, it will print grade C. If none of the cases are there, then that means percentage is definitely below. Waterfall model, remember, flowing from top to bottom. If none of the cases match, then of course you are sure the percentage is less than 40, in which case you will print D. Just analyze for 15-20 seconds. If this is clear, and this concept that by using double, this entire expression will be double, sum of all the double values will give you double, then double by integer, highest data type being double, will give you exact 0 point whatever value you will be getting, and the percentage will be obtained correctly, which is again a double data type. So is this problem solved, and this how we have handled this is both. If both the things are clear, you can just take 20 seconds to analyze that, and then you let me know. We'll stop for the day. Take 20 seconds. Okay, you can let me know if this concept is clear, how to find the grade as per the percentage. Okay, most of you seem to be comfortable with this. No worries, I'll send you some assignment also. I'll stop the recording for